Theme: Romeo and Juliet, love. Part 1, Infatuation. The opening of the play provides a memorable portrait of infatuation and obsession. Montague describes how Romeo's feelings for Rosalind have made him miserable. He talks to no one, spends his nights wandering the streets, and his days in his room with his curtains drawn. Act 1, Scene 1. Romeo complains to Benvolio that his feelings for Rosalind have made him despair. Grief's my own lie heavy on my breast. Act 1, Scene 1. He declares himself to be so weighed down with grief that he will not be able to dance at the Capulets' feast. Romeo declares that Rosalind is the most beautiful woman in the world. The all-seeing sun ne'er saw her match since first the world begun. Act 1, Scene 2. Yet Rosalind has made herself unavailable, declaring that she will love no man. She'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. Romeo's obsession with her is a painful business, therefore involving much sighing and weeping. He says that it has made him as miserable as a prisoner locked in some terrible jail. Romeo's feelings for Rosalind are certainly intense, yet they are feelings of shallow infatuation rather than true love. Once he meets Juliet, he forgets about Rosalind completely. I have forgotten that name, and that name's woe. Act 2, Scene 3. When he sees Juliet at the banquet, his belief that Romeo is the most beautiful woman in the world goes out the window. Forswear its sight, for I ne'er saw true beauty till this night. Act 1, Scene 5. We get the feeling that Romeo doesn't really know Rosalind. She is just a good-looking girl that he puts on a pedestal, imagining her to be the perfect woman. He is in love with his idea of Rosalind rather than with Rosalind herself. We also get the impression that Romeo has done little or nothing to let Rosalind know how he feels. He is content to sigh and weep as he worships her from a distance. He seems happy to play the part of the doomed lover, making a big production of his desire for this unattainable goddess. All in all, Romeo's feelings for Rosalind are the shallow and short-lived posturing of an adolescent rather than true love. Second part, the joys of young love. Romeo and Juliet wonderfully depicts the joy and excitement of young love. The poetic language used by Juliet perfectly captures the thrill of a new relationship. In the balcony scene, for instance, she famously describes Romeo as the god of my idolatry. That's Act 2, Scene 2. And declares that her love for him is infinite. My bounty is boundless as the sea, my love is deep, the more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinity. Act 2, Scene 2. She makes a similar point before they are married, claiming that her love for Romeo is so great that she cannot measure it. My love is so grown to such excess, I cannot sum up half my wealth. Act 2, Scene 6. The joy and excitement of young love is also evident in Juliet's desire to be with her new man. We see this in Act 2, Scene 5, when she yearns for the nurse to return home with news of the wedding arrangements. Oh, she is lame. Love heralds should be thoughts. Similarly, in Act 3, Scene 2, she cannot wait for evening to arrive so that she and Romeo can be together. Come night, come Romeo. When she and Romeo wake together, she cannot bear for him to leave. Act 3, Scene 5. Even when Romeo killed her cousin, she continues to love him and weep because he has been banished and they cannot be together. Romeo too experiences the thrill associated with young love. After the Capulets' party, he seems almost light-headed with elation. In Act 2, Scene 2, with love's light wings did I overperch these walls. His delight at meeting Juliet is evident in his famous speeches during the balcony scene. He uses poetic language to praise the beauty of this young woman he has just met and kisses for the first time. This is balcony scenes, Act 2, Scene 2. The brightness of his her cheek would shame those stars. At daylight doth a lamp her eyes in heaven, would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were night. After Romeo meets Juliet, he becomes much happier. Before the wedding at Friar Lawrence's cell, his memorable expresses the happiness of his new love has brought him. He stops his moping and lightens up. He jokes and laughs with his friends. They are delighted to find him back to his old self. Mercutio tells him, "Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo," in Act 2, Scene 4. Romeo is even willing to make peace with his family's sworn enemy. When Tybalt comes to provoke him to fight, Romeo surprises his friends by speaking of love and peace. "I do protest, I never injured thee, but love thee better than thou canst devise." That's Act 3, Scene 1. Another part of love is the dark side of love. Yet Romeo and Juliet does not deal solely with joys of love. It provides a moving portrait of pain and sorrow love can bring, especially when we are separated from the person we love and desire. We see this at the beginning of the play when Romeo, who is filled with thwarted desire for Rosalind, declares that love is as painful business. Is love a tender thing? It is rough, it is too rough, too rude, too boisterous, and it pricks like thorn. That's Act 1, Scene 4. The pain of separation from the loved one is also evident when Romeo learns he has been banished from Verona. He laments the fact that while even the dogs on the street will be able to bask in Juliet's beauty, he will not. That's Act 3, Scene 3. Being separated from Juliet, he declares he is like being cast from heaven into purgatory. When Romeo and Juliet meet, they become filled with extreme passion. The friar warns about this kind of excessive passion and emotion, referring to it as violent delights. This kind of out-of-control emotion, he suggests, can lead to disaster, in Act 2, Scene 6. It makes Romeo brash and fearless. He risks his life wandering through the Capulets' orchards in search of Juliet. If the Capulets were to find him, they would surely kill him. When Juliet suggests this, he dismisses her concerns and makes light of the danger. In Act 2, Scene 2, "Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye, than 20 of their swords." Passion makes the young couple act in a very hasty way. They decide to marry immediately without considering the consequences of their actions or consulting with their families. Juliet worries that things are moving too fast. "I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning." That's Act 2, Scene 2. Yet she is also overcome with passion that she goes along with the couple's hasty marriage plan. The play shows how excessive emotion can affect a person's judgment. When Romeo is banished, it could be argued that the young couple completely overreact, becoming crazed and hysterical with sorrow. Juliet, the nurse tells us, is overcome by a fit of weeping. "Oh, she says nothing, sir, but weeps and weeps." That's Act 3, Scene 3. Romeo loses the plot completely, rolling about the floor in tears, attempts to stab himself. In Act 3, Scene 3. As Friar points out, the couple are overreacting to a setback that can easily overcome with a little patience. A similar extreme reaction is evident when Juliet learns that she must marry Paris. She declares that she will take her own life and go through with the wedding. "If all else fail, myself have power to die." And that's Act 3, Scene 5. She even places a knife beside her bed so she can stab herself if Friar's potion doesn't work. "Shall I be married then tomorrow morning? No, no, this shall forbid it. Lie thou there." That's Act 4, Scene 3. It is arguable, of course, that the greatest display of excessive passion comes at the end of the play when the couple kill themselves. Both Romeo and Juliet would rather take her own life than go on living in a world without her beloved. In his last speech, Romeo reveals a desire to join Juliet in the afterlife. While this double suicide is very moving and romantic, it also represents a senseless waste of two young lives. Perhaps if Romeo and Juliet were thinking more clearly, were less overcome with passion and emotion, they would have decided to go on living and honour their deaths and honour their dead partner's memory rather than throwing their lives away.